I have never felt this much behind as a programmer. So this is a very interesting post from Andrej Karpathy, who also came up with the term vibe coding that we all have been doing for the last year. In this video, I wanted to go through this post and share some of my own thoughts about it, because I think this really reflects what all the programmers and developers are feeling right now. So in the post, he says, the profession is being dramatically refactored as the bits contributed by the programmer are increasingly sparse and between. We all probably feel like we are adopting to the role of an engineering manager or a technical lead rather than developer. Most of the code is being written by agentic coding systems, or it's AI assisted. I have a sense that I could be 10x more powerful if I just properly string together that has become available over the last year, and a failure to claim the boost feels decidedly like skill issue. I actually feel this every day. The tools are getting really good, and seems like the productivity is not able to keep up with that. Now, why is that? There is a new programmable layer of abstraction to master. It's really hard to keep up with all these different tools, terminologies, techniques that are coming up. The model capabilities are changing every day. So it's really hard to even create that mental model of how to work with these systems. And then he goes on to say, clearly, some powerful alien tool was handed around. It comes with no manual, and everyone has to figure out how to hold it and operate it, while the resulting magnitude 9 earthquake is rocking the profession. Roll up your sleeves to not fall behind. Now, this is, I think, what most developers feel right now. There is an interesting reply from Boris Cherny, who is the creator of Claude Code. So here he says, I feel this way most weeks. Sometimes I start approaching a problem manually and have to remind myself, Claude could probably do this. He has a practical example of this. So they were working on some memory leak issue in Claude Code itself. So he manually starting profiling it, and then he says, my coworker was looking at the same issue and just asked Claude. Then Claude one-shotted it and put a PR. The same thing happens most weeks. I think this has happened to most of us. We sometimes underestimate the coding capabilities of these coding agents. And on the other hand, we also sometimes overestimate their coding capabilities. These are not some sort of magical systems. You still need to provide really detailed, high-value prompts in order to be able to get really good outputs from these systems. Now, in his reply, Boris says something interesting. So he says, in a way, newer coworkers or even new grads that don't make all sorts of assumptions about what the model can and cannot do are able to use the models most effectively. It takes significant mental work to readjust to what the model can do every month or two, as model continues to become better and better at coding and engineering. If you remember, when reasoning models were initially introduced by OpenAI, the way you used to prompt non-reasoning model is very different than what you prompt reasoning models with. So we had to really recalibrate on how to work with reasoning models. And unfortunately, it keeps happening repeatedly. Recently, when Sonnet 4.5 was initially introduced, you had to actually rethink how to work with it because it is aware of its own context window. So the way you prompted Sonnet models before that were very different. So you have to really keep recalibrating not only to the capabilities, but also how these models work, which is a lot of effort on the part of developers. He goes on to say, last month was my first month as an engineer. I did not open an IDE at all. Opus 4.5 wrote around 200 PRs every single lines. That's kind of crazy. It's almost 7 PRs a day, which is crazy for any engineer. Software engineering is radically changing, and the hardest parts, even for early adopters and practitioners like us, is to continue to readjust our expectation. And this is still just the beginning. So if you are a developer or thinking about building any sort of app, you need to readjust your expectations in terms of these coding systems, and also what are their capabilities. That will also means you'll have to rethink about software developer every 2 or 3 months. The way we're going to build software is going to be very different. That being said, The biggest and the most important skill is going to be the fundamentals of software engineering. Now, here's a hot take. Knowing software engineering and good software engineering principles is going to be more critical when you are working with these coding system. Now, this is very different from what people used to say almost a year ago, that coding is dead, English is the new programming language. I don't think that is going to be the case. When you interact with these systems, you realize that the prompts that you provide, the way you ask questions, the way you communicate has an impact on what the output is going to look like. If you provide a generic prompt in plain English without any specific details of the technologies that you want to use, what the architecture is going to look like, then you're going to get very generic responses. But if you know how to speak the language, you're going to get drastically different responses. Anyways, do let me know what you think. I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.